The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank, underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees, planting out young cabbages. But he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. He ran on 4 legs and went faster, but he ran into a gooseberry net, getting caught by the large buttons on his jacket. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears. But some friendly sparrows overheard him and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. He rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can of water. Peter jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. Mr. McGregor saw him, but Peter didn't care. He slipped under the gate and was safe at last in the woods. Peter got home, very tired. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the 2nd jacket and pair of shoes he had lost in a fortnight. Peter was not well that evening. His mother put him to bed with some chamomile tea. Meanwhile, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread, milk, and blackberries for supper.